Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Age Friendly and Accessibility Committee, Thursday, September 18th, 2025. We would like to begin this meeting by acknowledging that we are gathered on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Inca, Kappa, and Silk people. Adoption of minutes, 2.1, Age Accessibility Committee, November 7th, 2024. Well, that's a while ago. Recommendation that the minutes of the Age Accessibility Committee held on November the 7th, 2024 be adopted. Councillor Charney? I was going to say Councillor Bloom. Gail? Ms. Bloom? Any errors or omissions? Any errors or omissions? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. We have no general matters, no unfinished business. New business. Is it Cardia Health or Cardia? Cardia Health Consulting. Miss Kate Milne, you are up. I will push a button for you and away we go. You are live. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Do you have the presentation? I just thought I would give a little bit of background of where I am in this process, because I know there's people are at different stages of where they've if I've met them during my time here in Merritt or if we've had a discussion. So I'll give a background and forgive me if I'm repeating things that people already know.
It's not responding.
Right,
yeah.
So maybe while Linda's pulling that up, I'll just give you some background. I've been hired by the city of Merritt to do the age-friendly and accessibility plan. Just to give you some information about my background, I've been working in older adult services for, well, I keep saying 25 years, but I think it's closer to 30 years at this point, honestly. And I've done a number of age-friendly and accessibility plans throughout the province. So usually in smaller communities, I've done the plans in Kimberley most recently, Valemont, Mackenzie, Wells. So I've kind of been around the province. I've also done some age-friendly plans in bigger communities, Richmond, Port Moody. So I'm familiar with the process. I also have done quite a bit of work with the United Way and Better at Home, and also with the health authorities on some of their older adult initiatives and learnings. That's my background. So I was hired by the city of Merritt. I guess I started in July of this year. And the project really began with situating research and understanding what's already in place just from someone who's a complete outsider of the community. I live in Vancouver, so I'm coming up here as someone without a huge amount of knowledge of the community, but sometimes that works to the advantage of the community, that I'm coming in with a set of fresh eyes, but also understanding what works in similar sized communities and what some of the barriers are as well. And also what the provincial programs and federal programs are that are available in terms of support and sometimes grant funding. So I started, as I said, in July, going through a lot of the city documents, trying to understand any linkages that there might be with the accessibility and age-friendly plan. And I'm going to back up a little and just maybe have a very quick, because I know we're being recorded, just to give a really quick background about the age-friendly initiative. So this is something that's been going on worldwide for, I think we're at about 23 years now. And it started with this idea that if we wanted to keep people aging in place, so staying in their communities, we'd have to keep them healthy and active. And very quickly, the organizers of the research realized, well, this is kind of one-sided just to look at whether people are healthy and active. There's so much more that keeps people in their communities. So there was a series of focus groups that went on worldwide. And from those focus groups, there were 8 dimensions that were identified as being key to having an age-friendly community. And some of them are structural. So we look at things like outdoor spaces, like curb cuts and benches and sidewalks and how building access works for folks. But then also transportation, housing, looking at how communication and information is handled to older adults. We also then look at a social side as well. There are social dimensions. So things like respect and social inclusion, social participation and recreation, and civic engagement. Civic engagement also includes volunteerism and work if folks are still wanting to be employed and looking for work. So with that said, I also want to acknowledge that this plan is also looking at accessibility. So traditionally, we know that if we make accessibility better for older adults, it's better typically for the whole community. It's called the 880 rule. So if we make it better for 80-year-olds, we're also making the city more accessible for 8-year-olds and mothers with, or parents with strollers, of 8-month-olds. So along with that eye to accessibility in the last, I guess since 2022, the province has required municipalities to have accessibility plans. And along with those plans, they're required to have an accessibility committee and a means for feedback on accessibility in the community. And when I say accessibility, I don't just mean mobility. Accessibility can also include things like social accessibility, cultural accessibility. So it's a bit broader than just, do we have curb cuts and accessible doorways? So you can tell from that description, it's a very big scope. These projects tend to look at a lot of different areas in cities and municipalities. And so my job is not to come in and tell the city what to do. It's to collect information from residents and understand the needs of the community and then feed that back into my report. And so as I was saying, I started with a review of documents, went through the official community plan and some of the other planning documents, and then also couched it in some of the research that's available. There's not a ton of really rigorous research around age-friendly planning, but there's certainly a lot of best practices. And then a lot of those pieces in age-friendly planning do have rigorous research. So I mean, transportation, housing, some of the social isolation and things like that. So we pull that into the report as well. So that's a fire hose of information to tell you where we are now. I have spent the week so far in Merritt meeting with as many people as possible. I'm just trying to be boots on the ground and meet with folks, interview them, do small focus groups. We have an open house tonight. And the idea is really to collect back different voices to make sure that as much as possible, I'm including voices of people who wouldn't necessarily come out to engagement. So sometimes that's people who are socially isolated. For example, in many communities, I'll drive out and see people who don't have transportation to get to community events. So that's what I've been doing so far this week. And we also have a survey that's up online. Also, there's paper copies all over the city at the moment, and hoping to have some response there as well. And of course, if anybody has anybody that they think I should speak to as well, even when I leave on Friday, I'll be doing phone interviews. I can do video interviews, however people would like to engage in the process over the next few weeks. We were going to stop the community engagement at October 1st, but I think we're going to extend it a bit so we can just capture more people in that process, because I realize it's such a tough thing to get information out to people. And this is a data point. This is something that really helps us to understand how are people getting information. That's part of the age-friendly process. And we learn by trying to get the word out about even this process in many communities. It teaches us, wow, that's hard to get that information out. So good information to feedback about what are the ways that people want to be communicated with. Um, so that is where we are right now. We had a list of stakeholders that the city provided, just in terms of service providers and some community members. And we went through that list and contacted everybody on the list, followed up with all of them. We didn't get everybody on the list. We got a number of people. But what we do is it's typically, we call it snowball sampling. So, I'll go out and meet with someone and they'll say, oh, you really have to talk to this person, or I'll give you the number to my neighbor who, didn't get any information on this. So I put that out to the committee that would be super helpful going forward. If there was anybody that you thought, well, this is a voice that you're not going to hear, or just someone who would be great for me to connect with. So maybe we can go to the next slide. Yeah, so I think I've covered most of what I have on the slide there. One more. Oops, thank you. Yeah, so going forward from here, I'll be bringing back all of that information, and it's a lot of data when we're just meeting with people, because conversations will go, all over the place. Unlike a really, structured survey, we do have a survey and we'll have that, what we call the quantitative data, the numbered data. But in the consultation process with interviews, sometimes we go off on a different tangent, and that's great because I get to learn more about a particular topic. But what it means in terms of collecting that all together after I've met with all of these folks is we have to go through and we theme it all, we put it into themes and we code it and we break it down into manageable data bites. And hopefully in this report, my goal in every community is not to have a report that sits on a shelf. I really want a working document, and particularly a working document for the committee. So when my report's submitted, you can say, okay, we can see some tangible recommendations here, short, medium, and long-term recommendations. What can we pick off? And so part of what I will add into my report is a way to go through that process, to have a little bit of an implementation model to use. So when I say I don't want a report to sit on the shelf, it means that even though there are all sorts of things that community members would like to see, I know that a lot of those are not within the city remit, or they're, just in terms of funding, they might not be viable. So I try to put in as many of those low-hanging fruit recommendations as possible, so the committee has something to work with and move forward. And then also some aspirational things that are a bit more long-term. So that report will be finalized in December, and we'll try to, we've been trying to rewrite reports a bit more as those working documents. So it's really the big themes rather than, here's 80 pages of information about the consultation and, tiny recommendations. Hopefully it will be a report that you can take out one of the major themes and say, well, we're going to work on this, and here are all the recommendations, and here's how we're going to work through those recommendations. And so, as I mentioned, we'll also have a plan in there for implementation and hopefully for monitoring as well, because with a plan like this, you'd want to come back and revisit, how did we do in terms of those recommendations made? Did we meet the recommendations? What were the things that got in the way? What else do we want to see? And can we go back and assess? And so a lot of the questions that we use in the survey, for example, are from a Canadian Institute of Health Research document about age-friendly planning. So it's a standardized document. It doesn't mean the survey is completely standardized. Unfortunately, we don't have a tool like that yet in age-friendly planning. It's on the wish list, but at least it gives you a document to go back and measure again. I think that's it for the information. I could stop there and maybe see if there's any questions, or if I can just tell you how maybe the committee could contribute, or what my ask, I guess, of the committee, if possible. I'll stop for questions about that information, and maybe we can go from there, and then I can put out an ask. That's okay.
If anybody has a question, just push that little red button in front of you and take her. Then Judy.
Thank you. So when you do the report and you make the, this is what we're identifying and suggesting, does that include information like who you could contact, like who the city could contact, or the committee, if that sort of makes sense?
Yeah.
I had it properly formed in my head a moment ago, but not just like, hey, we suggest you do this and leave it at that.
No.
But those connective pieces, and are those also included in reports?
Thank you for asking that question, because that's really important. Part of what I include in the report is possible partnerships. So here are all the community players that might be people who we could draw on. Because again, resources, funding are always difficult. And especially in smaller communities, it's hard to get things moving forward if you don't have a lead, if you don't have the funding to do particular projects. So when I'm out in the community, I'm also talking to folks about, well, could I make that connection with this group? And, just to see if I can add those pieces into the report. And then I scan for grants wherever I can. Now, I know you have a dedicated grant person. That's wonderful. She's probably way farther ahead on this than me, but just because of the work that I do, sometimes I'm aware of, grants that are available, or resources that are available, or things that maybe you didn't think of, or that, might be helpful in the community. So I add those into the report as well with those recommendations. So it would be, short, medium, and long-term recommendations, possible partners, what the city role is, and then possible sources of support, funding, that sort of thing. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
So question, once the report is done and it's presented, does this become a living document that gets updated, or is there a timeline where it gets updated? Like every 4 years we do this, every 2 years we do this, or is this a document that is living and it gets added to as we move along? How does that look?
Yeah, so the BC Accessibility Act requires that you update the plan every 3 years. At this point, I think realistically, I don't know if that's happening in all communities, and I know I'm on record saying that, so I have to be careful. But I think in practice, it is harder to do, but I think that's definitely the goal, is to have it updated every 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Other question that I have, you say you go around, you talk to people. I'm assuming people on the street at a certain age. One of the things that I'm noticing in the community is we have a lot of shelter people that are seniors.
Mhm.
How much input do they have into this? Like, are shelters ever taken into consideration? And homeless. I mean, there are some homeless out there that are definitely seniors. It's not hard to see.
Yeah.
And they're running into a situation where they're being abandoned. And I'm just wondering, when you do this, does that take into consideration some of those folks as well?
Yeah, so that was my very first meeting here, actually, was the CAP meeting on Monday morning. So I did meet with some of those folks, and I do have the number of one woman who was willing to do a one-to-one interview with me. I'm still working on that, but absolutely, yeah, that's a piece of accessibility as well. So that's an important piece to cover. Yeah.
Excellent.
Any other questions? I've also met with the New Age and Lower Nicola bands. So I've gone out and done focus groups with them as well. And so they give me some wonderful feedback that I'll incorporate into the report as well.
Excellent.
Yeah. So I can go ahead and make my asks.
You bet.
Okay.
Never hurts to say, ask a question.
So I understand that there's been a big break between committee meetings. I've heard this from a few people and maybe a little bit of frustration around that. And so the one thing I'd like to say is maybe starting in November, if we could come back together and I could give some sort of high level overview of where we're at in terms of the recommendations, what you can kind of anticipate from the report, and then maybe make a schedule from there, or even make a schedule in advance that allows you to meet more often. Because I think that's really going to be important, especially when this report is finished and you want to move some of those recommendations forward. So it's that document that's not sitting on the shelf.
So one of the things, Kate, that maybe we don't get out to committees when we form them. Committees meet when there's something to meet about.
Yeah.
We don't meet every month just because we're a committee. We
Yeah.
have to have a reason to meet. And that's like the Recreation Committee. We haven't met in quite a while because there's just simply nothing to meet about. And maybe we don't make that as clear as possible. And that would be up to the committee members to say, hey, we need to talk about this. I see this, I see that, I see this. So that's how committees work. We don't have a regular schedule.
Got it.
It's when something needs to be talked about, or if the chair can call a meeting, if the chair feels that there needs to be something to be talked about. So that would be on the group to say, hey, you know what, we need to talk about X. We haven't even talked about it. And I would say, sure, you bet. I would then talk to the CO, who would then get a meeting ready to go. But we only meet when there's something to meet about.
Okay. And so thinking about the report and those recommendations, do you think that that's something that's viable then to have a schedule just because you're thinking about I'm always thinking about the report moving forward. And so keeping that momentum.
I think the committee would be happy to do that and work through the minutia of the report. We're the same as council. We never, if you're paying for a report, you want to see something happen with it.
Yeah.
You don't want to see it gather dust on a shelf.
Yeah.
So if that means meetings in November and December and January and February, that's fine.
Okay.
It'd be no problem. I don't believe anybody would have a problem with that. Would we have to make a motion on that, CO? No, just a shaking of heads, yes?
Thank you, Your Worship. We can, at the next meeting, we'll put this on the agenda.
Okay.
The next meeting will be set for November. We'll add it to the agenda as setting a schedule, and then we can adhere to that schedule. And then as we're moving through it, it'll make it easier now that we have an updated report. Our last report was from 2016. So this will give the committee, like you said, something to work with.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Yeah, and it sounds like even quarterly would be wonderful. Yeah, just
Gail?
thinking about those recommendations.
I just think I'd like a clarification on what the role of the committee is going to be in the future. And I'd like to know how many members are still on it. Because it only looks like there's 3 right now. If I don't know, is there more? Like, I'm talking about public, right? Outside of the council.
Councilor Chern.
Well, we did lose one member. I was going to announce this later. Larry Gamache was a member of this committee and he passed away. So that's one member automatically. And was Kelly McDonald? I thought she was a member. Or was she just a guest? I thought she was a member of the committee.
CO?
And Linda Isaac.
Actually, we'll let CO clear this up.
Sorry, I can confirm Linda Isaac is a member of the committee. There is room for new members. We will be doing a drive. I will go back to the terms of reference. I think it's 2. But we will confirm the membership numbers. Kelly McDonald, she works with Interior Health. So she is here in the capacity of being an employee of Interior Health to support the committee. So she's
Okay.
not actually a member.
Okay. But we do have to replace Larry Gamache.
So Gail, I guess. So I guess our role would be, I mean, the first time we met, we talked about things that we see in the community. I can't remember her name, the one lady that was holding herself up at the podium. We should have something for somebody who's in a wheelchair. They can't address that podium. We had downtown, she can hear that the lights have changed, but doesn't know which road is being announced. So that's our role, is to bring these things up, and drops on sidewalks. Are they correct? Are they in the right spot? I mean, up by the police station, we had a crosswalk and there was complete edges, but the was over here. We had the crosswalk in the wrong spot. So stuff like that. I think that's where we need as a group to see these things. I mean, I'm very mobile, so things like that don't affect me to a certain degree. And then I think this report would be a good report to, and then we can build off of that. So the idea is, I think we need to define what our role really is, ourselves, and come up with some ideas on what our role is. Because that's basically what will drive this, is the fact that we're really supposed to be senior cops, is what we're supposed to be. If we see something that's not correct or not right, that's up to us to make it better, because, you know, we're not getting any younger.
Yeah, so that leads to my next point, actually, kind of perfectly. And another request for the committee. And maybe you have people that you could recommend for this, but one of the things that we've done in other communities is to do a bit of a photo voice assessment. So get folks to go out in the community with their phone and take some pictures of exactly what you're talking about. Like maybe there's this great new curb cut, but it's facing the wrong direction for my wheelchair. Or maybe there's one particular area of town that's, you know, tough for me to navigate. Or it could be a social barrier as well. Like maybe I don't go to this area because I don't feel safe, or I don't feel welcome, or things like that. So if there were people who wanted to participate in that, that really helps also to have some, rather than having stock photos in our report, to have some real photos of Merritt as well, and to see some of the issues and have some direct information of what people see in the community. So that would be wonderful if anybody wants to participate in that or knows of somebody who might be good to ask to participate in that.
So if you're not aware of Photo Voice, it's becoming quite the thing these
Thank you.
days. I would suggest you go home on YouTube tonight and type in Photo Voice and see what can be achieved with Photo Voice. It's becoming very popular.
Yeah, thank you. So it's a research method to use photos to tell a story. So rather than saying to somebody, you know, well, how are you getting around in the community? They show me a picture and then they tell me the story about that picture, and it just tends to provide a lot more information than I would get just by asking somebody that question.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Judy, but is not ICS doing a Photo Voice situation? I thought with the addiction situation. Is it the Arts Council? It's the Arts Council. That's who it is. Yes. Sorry, my mistake. Yeah. So the Arts Council is doing a Photo Voice situation. Yes.
Yeah. Right. I think those are my asks, other than just spreading the word, and maybe, you know, if you can, connecting me with anybody who you think would be great to speak to. And then just that committee meeting in November, so I can maybe get some feedback on the findings to that point before I submit a report. Does that sound okay?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, any other questions for me?
Thank you for taking the time to come talk to us and doing all this work. We sure appreciate it.
Oh,
And
having me.
looking forward to seeing the full report.
Yeah.
It's always nice to see those. So thank you. Appreciate it. We did mention the passing of Mr. Gamache, who was a member of this committee, and I've known Larry a long time, so it's sad to see him pass away. And if you have anybody that you know is interested in sitting on the committee, it would be we still have to go through the process of having them approved by council. But if somebody's quite interested, I've had 2 or 3 people come up to me and ask, and I say, well, you know, take out the application or come into the city and let's get it done. But yeah, and we need to meet more, and it's just the way it is. Seal.
In regards to the application process, I can provide you with hard copies of the application form if you'd like to take those with you. We also have them available online, so they can be submitted that way as well.
Okay. Okay. Committee, anything from committee? Any burning questions? Any burning deals? It's taken almost a year to get here. We should probably take a couple more minutes to do something. Anything?
I have something, but it's probably way early. I'm just wondering about my favorite snow removal. and wondering if, you know, we're gonna think about it a little bit and perhaps maybe have it run a little smoother this year.
So we have the Snow Queen on council, Councillor Charney.
Yes, I'm
Um,
aware.
What I think probably I would suggest, CEO, is that Mr. Green for the next meeting have what the process is of taking snow off of our roads and how it works. Now, we have a certain amount of machines too, and we only have so many. And that certain roads have to be plowed at certain times. So I think it's good for us to see what that is. And then we can kind of hash that out about what that looks like. But I think if we talk about it and we get it more and more out in the city, because there's two things that are the hardest thing that I've had to deal with in this: homelessness and the snow plowing. It's the two hardest things, because snow plowing, nobody's ever happy.
No.
People,
Right,
either you
I
came
get
too soon or you didn't come fast enough.
Right.
So, yes,
But I
yes,
mean,
so,
basically, it's the sidewalks that I'm concerned about.
Right.
And I know it's residents are responsible for their own, but you know, and it's the rows when you get to the end of the sidewalk to cross the street that are like this high and you're trying to, you know, go up and over. I mean,
and I think
I get it.
we'll get a report from Mr. Green and the equipment
Yeah.
that we have. And we have a couple new pieces this year that can help us out. But Councillor Charney,
Could we have Mr. Green attend? and
Yes, that's
talk
what
that
we're
would be fine if he has the time. It would be good for him to attend, but I still think that this committee should have a hard copy of what the map looks like and how the process goes.
I agree, but also
Yep.
sometimes the
We
questions.
can invite Mr. Green to that.
Yeah.
Not a problem. We can definitely do that.
Thank you.
Anything else? Seal?
I just wanted to say that's one of, you're looking for things for this committee, that this is one of the key pieces of this committee is looking at the city's policies and how we can improve accessibility within our policies. That's one of the things that we're trying to do with the updating of this. I don't know if you're aware, but one of the procedures that we have implemented from conversations from this committee is the hedge removal. So where the hedges are overgrowing on the sidewalks, it's not really a high level priority for someone who's sighted or someone who doesn't have a baby carriage. But when hedges overgrow a sidewalk, I now understand that it stops someone from being able to easily pass on that sidewalk because a dog will not put the person that they're guiding into the
Right.
street.
Yeah,
And they'll just kind of
gotcha.
stop. So it becomes a problem. So that's one of the things that bylaw enforcement has incorporated into their processes is annual removal of hedges that are overgrowing sidewalks. So that's a change that is being implemented directly because of this.
Yes, yes, the bylaw officers and I are on a first name basis.
I think, CEO, maybe the other thing we could get Mr. Green to talk about or to just touch on is the manway over that's coming in from Modi to Walmart, so people don't have to walk that bridge. We've had a meeting with them and we're scheduled to have a second one. They have committed to putting that walkway over, but we're just not sure what the design looks like yet. And probably should get the community to know about that as well, because that is, council has taken that since 2016 to UBCM and the premier, because we're worried somebody's going to get killed over there, a family, because it's just too, and Modi has decided to put one in at their cost. So they just got to pick a spot. So we were supposed to meet, but I think Mr. Green should bring us up to date on that one and where we are on that, because that's accessibility for the entire community. So, and it might sound a little weird where it's going to go, but it all works out, trust me. Gail.
I haven't been to the car wash lately, but I did notice that the new trail that goes through up to the hospital, right from downtown, that new trail, that's really nice.
Yep.
It comes right up against the parking lot for the car wash. People are parking on that, waiting to get into the car wash. So I don't know if it's been fixed or something's been done about that, but there should be some kind of barricade put along there, I think.
I think that would be, we might have to see what our bylaws say, but I do believe that would fall on the owner to say, please don't block this situation. We'd have to check into that. CO, I think
Well,
we'd
it
have to
looks
check
like,
into that.
sorry, it looks like it's part of the parking lot, the way it's done, right?
Well,
It does,
the
yeah.
entrance into the parking lot is owned by the car wash. Our deal runs right through it because we have a right of way of access.
Yeah.
But who controls that right of way of access and what rules can happen with that? And I mean, honestly, it's a no-brainer. I mean, you should not be parking your car
Well,
and blocking
no,
the thing.
They're waiting to get in.
Yeah, but
It doesn't,
still,
I mean, honestly, it doesn't look like it's part of the trail. It looks like it's part of the waiting area to get in.
But it is part of the trail, so
Yeah.
we'll have to, we'll have to
Can't
figure that one out, so. But good, yeah, something we can work on. I tell you, the ideas are flowing now. Yep, we'd have to find out what the rule on that one is, Gail. This is, we can't really move on somebody else's property if it's not ours. So we gotta find out actually how that works.
Okay.
So, and that's a good deal. Judy?
If I could, I'll just maybe share a few updates
Sure.
from the Better at Home side of things and where things are at with that program. And because in April I received the funding for this next year up until March, and a few new pieces that have come in under my role. So I am now working to offer what's called navigation and peer support. So obviously always looking for more volunteers, but that has really picked up with a lot more phone calls and folks reaching out to learn about different services or resources that are available to seniors in community. So that's something that is now available. The other piece is the social meal grant. I did get the approval for that again this year. My last 2 social meals on Saturdays have been over 40 people. So there's been a lot of feedback, great feedback from folks that the social connection has been really, really wonderful and connecting with old friends or making new friends. And that is one piece that has really come to light for me in my role is the social isolation that a lot of our older community are experiencing. So just trying to put together and carry on with some social opportunities and ways for our older population to connect, especially when they are on their own. And a few more volunteers have come out that are helping with some of that social connection. And then just trying to support some of our seniors with some basic technology pieces. There's been a lot of folks given a new phone or wanting to email or different things. So between myself and some volunteers, we have been getting a little bit more of more requests to support with some connectivity for our older population. So those have been going well, and community's been super supportive of me throwing out flyers and bulletins and sharing information and working out of some different spaces just to, again, be a bit more accessible in community to the best of my ability. So there's been a lot going on. There's my summary for that.
Thank you. Anybody else have a summary they'd like to? No? Okay. With that, we are adjourned. Thank you, Kate. Oh, yes, let's set the date. The November one. Where are you going?
No, kind of. I'm also on the transit committee
Yeah.
and they meet once a month on the 3rd Thursday. Okay. Okay, great. So it's November 20, which?
What time? So, council is not aware of this yet. I'm just waiting, but there is a 50-year Canadian celebration
Age.
at 5 o'clock. I think we're all being invited to.
8.
Yep, two would work fine.
Okay, I created a note. Age-friendly committee meeting November 20th.
No.
Is everybody okay with 2 o'clock on the 27th?
27th.
November the 27th.
Make a note, age-friendly meeting at 2 p.m.
So
November
excited. It's a big deal.
27th.
But I haven't received the invitation yet. I've just been warned that it's gonna happen. That's why you guys haven't gotten it yet. I'll wait till the commitment happens. We're good? Now we're adjourned. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. See you next year.